Hello and welcome to another craft session with me, Bev. Evelyn's not with us this week. She has fallen out of making videos at the moment, but that's fine. I'm sure she'll be back in the weeks to come. So today we are going to make a few things really. I've been thinking about what we can make from things around the house, such as plastic bottles, and toilet rolls, because I know we've all got lots of toilet rolls going on in our houses at the moment. And it might be getting boring painting on flat pieces of paper, perhaps. Maybe we're looking to do something a little bit different. So I guess my journey started really with the toilet rolls, painting little scenes on them. And then I thought about what else we could do with them. So I went outside for inspiration, and I've created my own little trees with some twigs and leaves I found in the garden. Also, I've put some bits of grass on there as well. So you can see there's lots, I guess, that you could do with whatever you've got around the house. And then I delved even further and decided to get some tissue paper out. So I have glued tissue paper to this bottle. Again, I've made a little scene with some trees on it. And then also, the bonus with this one is that it turns into a lamp. I'm going to turn it on here. It might be a bit bright for the screen. But there you go. So that's a lovely little lamp that you can make for your room. So we'll start first with the toilet rolls, and I'll show you what you can do with those, and then maybe we'll use a bit of those techniques then on the other bottle that I've got waiting to be jazzed up. Okay, so here we have a toilet roll. And the bits that I've got together today are tissue paper, which I've then ripped up into little pieces that then I'm going to use to glue onto here, because I'm going to show you how I created this bottle here, but on a toilet roll. I've also got some bits of foliage here. I've just picked some grass from outside. There were some poppies growing, so I've picked off some poppy leaves, and then I've just picked up some little twigs as well. I was thinking if I could show you half of something on one side and then another half on the other side, and then you can get the gist of where we're trying to be. But really, it's just a free-for-all, and you should be experimenting because that's what art is all about. So, I'm going to start painting this. I'm pretty much thinking I'm going to do a night scene, possibly. So I'm going to paint the top quite a dark blue, and then the bottom a green, and then I'll paint the trees on afterwards. So I'll just show you. I've got my little paint palette here with some paints in, and I'm just going to bob that paint on there. Obviously, I'm going to be really quick with this, but you guys take your time. We have plenty of it at the moment. So just roughly painting on there. I'm going to leave the other half and show you what to do with the tissue paper on the other half. We'll do the painted side first. And then on the bottom bit, I'm just going to create sort of a bit of ground, let's say. So my ground's going to be grassy and green. So I'm just using poster paints here. But feel free to get gouache out or watercolours if you've got the tubes of watercolour paints. They would work easily as good. So just getting a nice coverage on there. And then you can either paint from here with your trees on if you just wanted to start off sort of making something like this. I am going to show you how I made this one with the twigs and the leaves. It's really, really easy. You just get some twigs. I've got some PVA glue just next to me. So I'm just going to dip the twig in the glue and then just stick it onto the tube. If you've got any bits hanging over, you can just cut those off with scissors. Obviously, make sure there's an adult close by if you're using the scissors. Don't want you to cut yourself. These twigs are fairly thin, so they're fairly easy to cut. So I'm going to have two little trees on here. Get another stick here, dip that in some glue. Just got a little brush here to put a bit more glue on. And then I picked these bits of leaves out of the garden. So just put a little bit of glue on those and then bob those onto the tree as well. So there's plenty of leaves and things out at the moment. You can pick them up on your little walk that you're having out and about. If you can go to the park, maybe pick some grass if you don't have any in your own garden. I have a few plants around the house as well that sometimes I steal leaves from. Obviously, make sure you ask your parents before. So I've just created a couple of trees there with some leaves and some twigs. I'm just going to bob some grass down here. So just take a few bits of grass and then I'm just going to bob some PVA glue on here. You could use Pritt Stick if you wanted. I'm not sure how well perhaps it would glue the twigs. PVA is usually the winner in this house. So I'm just going to chop these down a little bit. Just gather those up, bob them on in a bit of a random fashion. I've got a bit of grass there. And then if you want to, you could paint some flowers on the tops of the grasses. Just gonna put a few dabs of paint on here just to give the effect of there being flowers. So there we go. So that's the first side done. And then I'm going to show you a different technique on the other side now. So this time I'm going to use some tissue paper. You could use that, you could use crepe paper, you could use any type of paper that you've got. Maybe you could paint some plain paper different colours and rip that up and pop it on. The reason I used tissue paper was because I wanted to be able to see through it on the bottle here, so I just had it out ready and waiting. So I'm just going to tear that up into little bits. Again, I'm going to create sort of a grassy sort of ground and then a blue sky. So just tear up a few bits there. It's very easy to get this stuck to you if you've got glue on your fingers. So the technique that I used was to glue onto here first and then stick the paper on. Otherwise you get it stuck to your fingers quite a lot. So just gonna do the sky first. So I'll just bob some glue on the top bit here. Just painting some PVA on with the paintbrush here. And then I've got my little strips here, just going to stick those on. You might want to put a little bit more glue on after you've stuck the bits on, just to make sure that they are stuck down properly. And just keep on layering as much as you want. Just bob some more glue on there. Just using up these last little bits. And then I'm gonna glue the bottom half and bob my green bits on there. Again, just coating with PVA glue on my paintbrush. And I'm just gonna layer up. So I've done my background with the tissue paper, but that doesn't mean that I have to continue with the tissue paper. You could use just a paintbrush on top of this and paint on your trees, or you could bob some twigs on like I've done on the other side. Just for ease, because I haven't got time to let this dry, I'm just going to stick some leaves on here and then you can sort of see what's happening here. So again, I'm just going to sort of try and create a tree. So there's my little tree there. So you can see that effect as well. I mean, you could do whatever you wanted with these, I guess. If you created a night scene on this, maybe you could put little holes in it, and then you could put some fairy lights inside that and make a bit of a galaxy scene. Possibilities are endless. So moving on to the bottles, what I did with this one was to cut the top off, and then that way I could get the fairy lights in. So I'm just going to do that. And so just cutting the top of the bottle off here. You probably need to get an adult to do this. So I've just taken the top of the bottle off there. And then I use the tissue paper technique on this one. But with this one, I'm just going to paint on it because I'd like to see what it would look like with some paint on with the lights inside it. So I'm just going to go ahead, just going to get some more. I've got some nice turquoise paint here. I'm going to mix it with, I've got some sort of sparkly white paint here. I'm going to mix those together. They look pretty good. So just roughly paint these on. I might do some swirls in the sky, make it look like it's a bit cloudy maybe. Okay, so I've got my swirly sky on there. And then I'm going to pop some sort of forest ground going on the bottom. Get some more green paint there, and guess when it's the forest it might be a bit darker, so I'll mix some purple in and make a nice brown colour. There we go. This greeny mossy colour going on here. So just going around there, I'm going to mix the colours together and try and blend it a little bit. Okay, so I hope you can see that. And then I'm going to go ahead and see if I can stick some of these twigs on, make a bit of a scene on the side, bit of a woodland scene. So again, I'm just going to glue the twigs on with a bit of PVA. The bottle's not got a very flat side, so it's a bit difficult. There we go. So when you make this, I'd probably let the paint dry in between. But time is precious for me right now, so I'm just going to push forward and decorate. Some more leaves here. Try and make the blooms on the tops of the trees. I think really the idea with the bottles is if you are going to put lights in, then you need to try and find things that are going to let the light shine through, like the leaves. They're quite thin leaves are these. I know you can get some of the thicker waxy ones. They probably wouldn't work so well. Unless you were trying to block the light out, I guess. But these ones, hopefully, the light will shine through them a little bit. So I've made some trees there on the side. And I'm just gonna bob some grass on this side. Just to give you an idea. Sticking. Okay, so that's the basic gist anyway. And then the light that I've got in here, I'm just going to bring you back up again. I use just a battery powered fairy light, but you can also get the little battery powered tea lights. People usually have those laying around the house if they use them for Halloween or to put in your pumpkins. I've got lots of fairy lights for some reason, so that's just what I'm using now. So there you go. You can't really see it that well, I guess. It's a bit bright, but you get the gist with the little scenes. So maybe you could use it as your new bed light. Anyway, that was fun. I liked doing that. I like messing around with things, and I hope you have. And I hope that we will see you again soon. Maybe you could post some pictures of your little scenes that you've made on your toilet papers. I don't know. Anyway. Hopefully you've enjoyed the session, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.